Hi everybody, this is Doug at Willy Nilly's. We're going to show you how quick and easy it is to frame up this Delta 250 Sport wing. We're going to do this in probably three parts. The first part, we're going to show you just how to build up the basic wing frame. The second part, we'll probably do the finishing, like servo install, some covering tips, the vertical fin install. In the last video, we'll probably do flight setup and test flight. As you can see, I'm popping out the parts right now. It's 3/16 balsa, so it's fairly sturdy. If you have any problems, just excuse me, flip it over and cut any areas that the laser didn't quite get through. We're pretty diligent about making sure that we get good cuts on everything, so we'll pop everything out here. Only takes a few seconds. Anybody wants to time me, let me know how long it takes for me to actually put one of these together. Make sure you get all the good parts. You need all the gussets. There's two gussets I forgot. Okay, there's the wing tips. Pop them out. That's not a part, that's not a part. Get them out of there. Okay. So those two 3/16 sheets is going to build your whole basic wing. It's really, really simple. It really, really is. I'm not bragging or anything, but I think we did a pretty good job. Everything is going to have a notch in the notch. Let me get that centered up. You'll see how that fits. You can just do kind of a trial fit real quick so you can see how it all goes together. This part goes up. Oh, let me slide this back a little. Fits in there just like that. You can see how nice that fits. Anyway, I'll try to keep all this in frame, but it's going to be kind of hard. I'll have to slide it back and forth. But you can see I'm kind of goofing off right now. If I didn't have to try to talk and pat my head and rub my belly at the same time, we'd already have this put together. There's that rib. And then there's a rib that goes there. You can see how nicely it all fits together. So basically, comes in real handy if you have a grid type board like what I'm working on here, just to help you keep it square. Everything's cut so you can keep it pretty square. I'm going to go ahead and I like to start with the trailing edge. Use some medium CA. Stick her in there and line it up on the grid. Make sure she's basically square. Doesn't have to be perfect, it really doesn't. I know there's some old-time builders out there that would like to probably use square right now and use all that, but we're in a hurry, just like everybody these days. So then I'm going to take the wingtip, put some glue on there, make sure it seats up good. I like to use medium CA when I'm building these, simply because I've got just a little bit of a gap. With the 3/16 balsa, the laser will cut at just a little bit of an angle. So you got just a little bit of a gap to fill, but not much, not much. So I usually leave the ribs till last, and I'll glue this leading edge in here now. Doesn't take a whole lot of glue, just a little. With the medium, medium CA, it gives you just a little bit longer to squish it all together and make sure you got it right. Looks like we got it pretty good, so I'll squirt some accelerator there. Hopefully we didn't glue it down to the board. Looks like it stuck a little bit. It happens. If you can get part of it loose, you can kind of, yeah, that stuck pretty good. Okay, I'll glue this again. I make plenty of mistakes, but my airplanes generally fly pretty good. Okay, we'll get that line back up, glued. A couple squirts. Hold it for a second. Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, you can go ahead and glue the ribs in right now. I kind of like to wait and do that at the last step. I'll go ahead and glue this other trailing edge in. Make sure you glue that. Put it in place and hold it for a second. You just got to make sure you don't glue it to the board. I should have some wax paper down there, I know. Can't find it right this second. Helps if you flip it over and give her a squirt. That'll set the other side. Now we'll glue this other leading edge in place. We don't have to. No, we got to put the wingtip in first. Doggone it. Been a long day. We shipped 72 packages today, so that's why I'm a little flustered. We're just about caught up on everything. We've only got about 20 more shipments and we'll be caught up. And that's going to make me very happy, because then I can spend a little time working on some new projects. And I glued it to the board. You can literally build this in your hands. You don't need a building board. Just make sure your parts are lined up. Put it in place. All right, now we'll do the leading edge. Like I said, I'm in a bit of a hurry, so we're going to try to make as many mistakes as we possibly can so you guys can learn from it. Get that line, there we go. Give it a little twist so she don't stick to the board anymore. Okay, I don't think she's going to stick. Okay, that's pretty good. Now we'll throw our ribs in place. And we'll start with this one right here. Put a little glue on there. It don't take much, just a little. Make sure I'm trying not to stick it to the board. Accelerate it. That should be set. Put your next rib in after you put some glue on it. Again, it just doesn't take very much glue. Don't overdo it. This little airplane doesn't worry too much about a little extra weight, but anytime you can keep things as light as possible, they fly better. Just plain and simple. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. I got enough accelerator on this board that you probably don't have to spray anymore. I'll flip the wing over and we'll get these other two ribs in. Get that trailing edge there. Don't overdo the glue. Doesn't take much. Slide her in place. Make sure she don't stick to the board. Give her a couple squirts. Okay, we'll do the last rib here. This airplane's a lot of fun. It really is. It don't care how windy it is. It don't care how gusty it is. It just plows right on through it. And you can fly it in pretty small spaces. It likes to go fast too, though. It really does. It does a good job going fast. Okay, there's the basic wing. It's all framed up. We do have some strengthening gussets that we need to put in here. And these are at a significant amount of strength. Don't neglect to put these in. Really important that you do it. So, let's see. The bigger of the two go up here. And they're going to fit just like that. You might have to sand just a tiny bit, but if you do, it ain't going to be much. These are close enough, I ain't going to worry about it. I'll glue those in there. Get that right. Yeah, there we go. Come on, don't stick to the bail table. Stuck my thumb. Okay. I'll fire that off so it don't stick to anything anymore. These other two little ones go down here in the corners. There's a lot of flex in these tips, and these little gussets do a remarkable job stopping that flex. You don't want it to flex. So I'll glue that in place. Go to spritz. I'll flip it over. Trying to keep this in frame so you can see it. Get that glued in there. Okay, there you go. There's your basic wing frame. Doesn't take very long. Pretty simple. It's hella stout. Give me 1 second and we will work on the fuselage. Wasn't sure that we'd get this far, but okay, so ideally you'd want to sand it nice and smooth right now. Have that all done before you put this on. You can cover the wing before you put this on, but it works a lot easier if you do it like I'm doing it. Okay, so the only real trick to gluing the fuselage tops and bottoms on is this this inside edge gets glued to that inside edge. The forward part gets flush with the firewall. I usually wait to glue the firewall on until I've got all this in place, just simply because if I need to tweak it just a little bit, I can sand it. So we'll run a bead of glue down. Here again, I'm using medium just simply because it takes a couple seconds to set in case I make a oops, which I tend to do a lot anymore. Just you can use your fingers to line it up with the inside edge. Yep. Just that simple. We're going to do the same with the other side. Now I'm doing this the quick and dirty way. I haven't sanded any edges or anything. We're getting her done. Line it up with the firewall. Line it up with the inside edge. And as much accelerator as we've got sprayed everywhere, it should set pretty quick. Yep. Okay, so what's going to happen now? This is this piece will go right here. Just adds a little strength. 9 times out of 10, when you go to launch this, you're going to grab it right here to give it a toss. That cross piece adds a lot of strength right there. But it's got that hole in it to let cooling air through. Because I know some of you guys are just going to go crazy and you're going to put like huge motors on it and 4S batteries and who knows what. So we got to make sure it's in good shape and can handle it. Alright, so this, okay, these two parts are easy to get confused. This cross grain is the front of the hatch. It gets glued on right at the very front. We'll just go ahead and glue that on there. Couple beads. Put it right on front there. Try to keep it as square as you can. If you can't, you can always sand it. Okay, this other piece is the tang, which you want to center up on your hatch as best you can. Leave about a 1/4 inch. We're going to use thin CA for this. I'm going to capillary tube on there so it'll wick in there really easy. Okay, then we'll fire her off just in case. Anyway, then what's going to happen is it's probably going to stick on me. Okay, there's your top hatch. Now at the back here, let me see here. In your hardware bag, there's going to be a piece that looks like this. You will want to the hole's cut out to put a blind nut in there. There's 5 blind nuts in your kit, and there's one intended for this piece right here. So put it in there and tap her down. I can't find something to tap it down with. There we go. Okay, you want to put it right at the very back edge. Put some glue on her. Put some glue on the blind nut. Don't put it in the threads, but put it on the nut itself. That nut usually won't come loose. Okay. And in your kit, there will be a screw. You'll have to locate this hole yourself because there's a variable here. We couldn't make a single hole for you. But if you mark that hole location, you can make a hole in your top hatch, and then you can screw it down with the included screw. Pretty simple. Okay, now the bottom is almost identical except there's no hatch. Your bottom sheet, BTTM, stands for bottom. There's your bottom sheet. There's your bottom fuselage sides. And a couple little formers. Gonna do the same exact thing. We're gonna run some glue down here. We're gonna line it up with the firewall, the very forward edge, and we're gonna line it up with the center, or with the edge of the lightning holes, which is also your battery bay, where you keep your receiver. Okay, that's glued down. We'll do it again with the second piece. Okay, line it up with the forward edge or the firewall. Line it up with the inside edge. Give her a little spritz. I think my accelerators are drying up. Anyway, then you take your two formers here with the vent holes. Very important for these vent holes to get cooling through here. You're going to put on the bottom, you're going to put one right here, and you're going to put one right here. Put a little glue on it. Slide it in place. Just try to center it up as best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not building rocket ships. Where'd my other one go? Oh, I already had it in there. Silly me. Okay, we'll glue this in. Slide it in place. That looks pretty good. Okay, so the bottom hatch, it gets glued in solid. So you can run a bead of glue all the way along the edges. Across the cross tie. Make sure you get it lined up with the forward edges. Set her in place. Wow, that stuff's setting off good. It's making my eyes burn. I don't need to spray any accelerator this time. Okay, so now we got our basic fuselage. Got our hatch done. I'll grab a firewall real quick. Okay, there's only one piece of plywood in the kit that looks like this, and those two pieces are your servo rails. They'll get glued on the forward and aft edge of where your servos mount. Wait to do these until you have it covered. Otherwise, it's a pain in the rear. So I'll set those aside for now. This is your firewall. Pretty simple, just like all of our other kits. Very important that you punch out these big holes and leave them open for cooling if you're using electric power. It really needs that cooling air going through there, because if you're like me, you'll be tooling along and the next thing you know, you're flying full power and having a blast and not paying attention. And if that air isn't going through there, it will get pretty warm in there. Anytime you overheat your electronics, you run a risk of ruining them. So do what you can to keep them cool. Okay, so got all the holes punched out. Before you glue this on, you want to put your 4 blind nuts in. Okay, I'm back. I just grabbed 4 blind nuts. I always try to put the burnt edges towards the inside and where you can't see them normally. Just for looks. The holes that are lasered in here are just right for the barrel of the blind nut. You may need a pair of pliers to squish them down good, which I need. Give me 1 second. All right, Becky, what'd you do with my pliers? Maybe I'll just push them in with the knife here. Always more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah. Unless it's 8 o'clock at night and you're tired from working all day. Which I'm sure a lot of you are. And you're watching some fool put a model airplane together. Okay, those 2 are pushed in. I don't often talk to myself, but when I do, sometimes it's pretty entertaining. Okay, that one started. I'll go ahead and push that one in. And the 4th one. Am I boring anybody yet? I did hear about a guy that got hit by a rental car today. I guess the report said that the guy said it really hurts. Oh boy. Some of you will get that, some of you won't. That's alright. I like to put a little dab glue on the corners. Don't get it in the threads. You'll regret that. Put it on the edge. Let her fire off. Then check your fit. You probably have to adjust it just a little bit. Sand it. Let me get a sanding block. I thought I was prepared. But there's always something, isn't there, Clyde? Okay. Here's a sanding block. I'm just gonna now your blind nuts will kind of squish into your balsa just a little bit. but that's okay. Just want to make sure it's flush. You don't want any positive or negative incidents on this. You want 0 degrees. 0, 0, 0. If you have either way, you're going to have problems trimming it out. So make sure it's flush. 0 degrees. We're going to glue her on here. Take your time and make sure you clearance it for whatever you need to make sure it turns out 0 degrees. And if by chance you don't get it 0 degrees, you can always use washers underneath the motor mount to get it where you need it. But you want 0 degrees, you really do. It's a flat airfoil, very important. It doesn't have any positive or negative lift. It's just a flat plate. So now that we got that, let's see, what else can we do before we call it a night? Don't lose your servo rails. You need those to screw the servos into place. Now in your kit, we do include one of our lifetime warranty motor mounts. One of these right here. This one just came off the press and I ain't even cleaned the edges up yet. But it lines up right with those holes. Bolt your 1806, 2207. You really want at least an 1806 on this airplane. It really makes it perform. It makes it easy to balance. You got gobs of room here, right here, for 2, 3, 4 cell batteries. I would definitely recommend at least 3 cell. I haven't tried 4 cell yet, but I know it'll do it. You ain't gonna break this thing. It's really strong, and it does really good in just about any kind of weather situation you can fly it in. So I think we'll call this part 1, and the next part will work on the ailerons, or the elevons, and the vertical fin placement and the radio installation. All right, so part 1,